Okay, so welcome back to the返學 DSE biology, and then we are now in chapter 8. So we focus on the circulatory system of human, and in order to study this chapter, fun, okay, for fun, so you can watch the Cells at Work season 1 episode 8, and it is a journey of the hemoglobin, how it goes from the heart and then to the everywhere of your body. So for the text version, it is first of all we have to understand the needs of the transport system. For small organisms like amoeba, they can simply use diffusion to facilitate their need. However, for us, there's a large multicellular organisms. If we just account on diffusion, they will be too slow and insufficient. That's why we need a transport system. And for the human transport system, we break it down into two parts. There is the circulatory system, which is made up of blood. Another part is the lymphatic system, which makes up of the lymph. So focus on the circulatory system first. It consists of blood vessel, and also the heart. And then for the blood, most of it will be the plasma. That is by volume, 55% will be the majorly water, and then others will be the blood cell. And then within the plasma, these are the contents you may find in your plasma. And the function of plasma is a media of transport, and also it will distribute the heat throughout your body to maintain your body temperature. For the different type of blood cells, we focus on the three types of them. That is the red blood cell, white blood cell, and also the blood planet. You may focus on their size difference and also their numbers difference. And you may also notice that for the red blood cell, it doesn't contain a nucleus when mature. And they are all made in the bone marrows and with different lifespans. So for the cells at work, it is funny that the white blood cell can live a long period of time with the red blood cell. And they are all broken down into with different location and purpose. And here are the functions of different blood cells. Red blood cell is to contain hemoglobin to carry oxygen, and then for white blood cell is to protect your body against defense, and then for blood planet is involved in blood clotting. And there will be two diseases related to blood cells. First of all will be the anemia, and the deficiency of either the hemoglobin or red blood cell will result in anemia, and it is usually related to the lack of iron in your diet, and you may feel weak or easily faint. And for the leukemia, it's the large number of abnormal white blood cell present in your blood. That's why it will attack your own body. And here are the types of blood vessels, from aorta to arteries to areolas, capillary, ventris, veins, and vena cava, and then back to the aorta again. And then their wall consists of the fibrous tissues, muscles, and also the endothelium. And we know we should understand how to compare and contrast the arteries and also the veins. For the arteries, it contains a thick layer of muscles. Because its contract and relaxation will change the size of the lumen, that is the inner tunnel of the blood vessel, and we will also regulate the amount of blood flow. And for the arteries, it will also have a thick layer of the elastic tissue to withstand the pressure and also to maintain a constant blood flow. And also it will have a small lumen and a thicker wall to withstand the blood pressure. And for the wings, it will usually have a larger lumen to reduce the resistance to the blood flow, and valves are commonly present in the wings to prevent the backflow of blood. However, aortas, which is a arteries, also have valves, but it will be discussed later on. And then for the source of the energy for the blood flow in the arteries is by the heart pumping, and for the blood flow in vein, it is by the skeletal muscle contractions. That's why, because of heart pumping, the arteries will usually have a higher blood pressure. And for the capillary, the lumen will slightly larger than the diameters of a red blood cell, which means it is very small. And then for the capillary wall is only one cell thick, and it also facilitates diffusion because it is very, very thin indeed. And then the useful materials like oxygen and glucose will diffuse out to the body cell, and then for the waste will flow in the opposite direction, that is into the blood. And there will be three applications in the capillaries. It is highly branched and has a very large total cross-section area and also one cell thick. And for the blood pressure, because the artery is by the pumping action of your heart, that's why the pressure is high and also change periodically, and the rate of blood flow is also high, but gradually decrease because of a longer distance from your heart and also increase the total surface area. And then for the capillary, the blood pressure will drop significantly because of the small diameter of the lumen and also a high resistance. And the rate of blood flow is also very low, usually near zero, because it will allow more time for the exchange of materials. And then for the veins, now you have the contraction of the skeletal muscle as a pumping pressure. That's why the rate is medium and also the blood pressure is nearly zero because it's far away from your heart. And also the resistance is a little bit great. And here is the general structures protecting your heart. It is protected by the rib cage and also ripped by the fluid. And for the structure of the heart, it consists of, if we talk about the right hand side of your heart, it will consist of the pulmonary arteries, anterior vena cavus, posterior vena cavus, right atrium, and also right ventricles. And for the right atrium, it is separated with the right ventricle with the tricuspid valve. Remember, what you see in your diagram will be a mirror image of your own body because we are mimicking the situation you are facing a patient right on the and then for the left hand side, it consists of the aorta, which contains the seminal valve and also the pulmonary veins which collect the oxygenated blood received from the lung, and then it will arrive in the left atrium, and separated by the bicuspid valve, you will arrive at the left ventricles, and then the heart, and then the blood will be pumped to the aorta. And for the heart itself, it also needs a continuous blood supply. That's why it contains the coronary arteries, and for the waste it produces, it will be leaving through the coronary veins. That's why the coronary blood vessel is responsible for the nutrition and also oxygen provided to your heart. And for the atria, which is the plural form of atrium, it usually has a thinner muscular wall because it's just pumping the blood to the ventricle, which is very close to the atria. And then for the right atrium is for the oxygenated blood from the body and then pump it to the right ventricle. And then for the left atrium, it receives the oxygenated blood from the lung. And then for the ventricles, it usually have a thicker muscular wall because it will pump the blood to a longer distance. And then for the right ventricle, is pumping the deoxygenated blood to the lung. And for the left ventricles, is pumping the oxygenated blood to the body. And you may notice there are heart valves inside your heart. So for the bicuspid and tricuspid valve, it is placed between the ventricles and also the atrium. It is held in place by the tough heart tendon, and it prevents the backflow of blood into the atria. Because the correct location should be from the atria to the ventricles. And then for the seminal valve, it will prevent the backflow of the blood back into the ventricles. And there will be 4 adaptive features of the heart for pumping the blood. The cardiac muscle can contract and relax continuously without fatigue. That's until our death, our cardiac muscle will continue to work. And then for the ventricles, it will have a thicker muscular wall to provide stronger driving force. And then there are valves, that is the bicuspid valve, tricuspid valve, and also seminal valves to prevent backflow of blood. And then the tendon will hold the valves in the correct position to prevent it turning inside out. And then for the blood circulation, it actually consists of 2 circuits. That is the pulmonary circulation and also the systemic circulations. That is, one is within the heart and the lung, and the other one is heart to the body. So that's why the blood will pass through the heart twice in order for a complete loop. That's why we call it a double circulation. And there is a special blood vessel which is called the hepatic portal vein. You learn it in chapter 6 because it is connecting not any organ to the heart. It is connecting the small intestine to the liver because it will carry the nutrient-rich blood to your liver for processing. And then in order to exchange of materials, it usually takes place in the capillary bed, which we're using diffusion, osmosis, and also water pressure. And from the blood to the tissue, there is a net movement of the oxygen, nutrient, and also water. And from the tissue to the blood, there is a net movement of carbon dioxide and waste. How it can be achieved? So here is how it is done. That is by the pressure difference, because in near the aorta side, the blood pressure is much larger than the fluid pressure. That's why a component of your plasma will be forced out. However, some of them will be too large and stay in blood. That is the red blood cell, blood planet, and also the plasma protein. However, the pressure force materials out. And then in the ventral side, because the water is a lot stated in the tissue side, that's why it has a osmotic pressure of drawing the water back into your blood. And also, an additional amount of the tissue fluid will be drawn into the lymphatic system because of the hydraulic pressure. And the importance of this tissue fluid is to maintain a relatively constant environment for your cells and also serve as a link between the exchange of materials. And as we talk about the lymphatic system, so the lymphatic system actually consists of the lymph tissues, lymph node, and the torso and the thymus, and also the spleen. And for the lymph, it's very similar to the tissue fluid and also similar to blood, except the fact that it doesn't contain any red blood cell, blood planet, and also plasma protein. And for the lymph vessel, remember it is blunt end, that's why it only has one exit, but not a two-way out. And also it is found deep inside your body, and valves are also present in your lymph vessels to prevent backflow. And in the lymph system, you may also notice a lymph node, which is a swelling in your lymph vessel, which is near to your neck, and your doctor may touch those regions to see if there is an inflammation, because it is filled with the red blood cell to kill germs in the lymph. And also for the spleen and the thymus, it is to protect and store the white blood cell. And for the torso, it is where the white blood cell is guarding in order near the mouth and the nose. And for the function of the lymphatic system, it is to collect the excess tissue fluid to prevent accumulation of tissue fluid, that is in Chinese called 水肿. And also it will protect us against disease because it filters the germs and it helps to transport lipids. So here is an extract from the HKEA document talking about you should generally understand the plan of the circulatory system and also the lymphatic system and also the composition of the blood tissue fluid and also the lymph. So we have a general comparison about them and also how the tissue fluid can be formed because of the blood pressure difference and also the hydrostatic pressure forcing the tissue fluid back into the blood. So here will be the end of your chapter 8 intensive video. So I hope you see you next time. Bye.